auto dealer stocks has been remarkable, and one reason why the auto dealer group is red hot for investors is because the business.
Dealers don't care about the price of the car. They only care about your monthly payment. It sounds harmless. What payment can you afford? But that single question is the trap. They stretch your loan, balloon your interest, and lock you into years of debt while you smile, thinking you scored a win. So why do the numbers always look smaller on paper? Why do buyers drive off relieved, then regret it later? And how many thousands disappear before you even notice? Because by the end, you'll realize it's not a payment plan, it's a prison sentence. The 0% trap. It sounds almost magical. 0% financing, 0 money down, a brand new car sitting in your driveway, and it will barely cost you a dime to get started. That is the image dealerships love to paint in their advertising. They flash it across billboards and hammer it into late-night television commercials because it feels irresistible. Who would not want a free loan? But here is the truth. That offer was never meant for you. In fact, it was never meant for most people at all. The fine print tells the real story. Those 0% offers are usually reserved for the absolute top-tier credit customers, the rare individuals with perfect histories and high scores. Most buyers never qualify, but by the time you find that out, you are already sitting at the salesperson's desk. The trick worked. You walked into the showroom, hopeful and excited, ready to be told you just missed the golden ticket. And at that moment, they pivot. They shift you toward another financing deal, one that looks reasonable on the surface, but will cost you thousands more over the life of the loan. The betrayal stings because you never had a chance. The dealership knew when they ran that ad that 9 out of 10 people would never qualify, but they also knew those same people would show up, desperate to believe they could beat the system. And that is the moment the real game begins. But once you sit down, they are not really interested in whether you get a good deal on the car. They are interested in steering you toward something far more dangerous. The monthly payment game? Ask yourself this. When was the last time a salesperson told you the actual price of the car? Plain and simple. Probably never. They avoid the number because the number is where their margin hides. Instead, they smile and ask the only question they truly care about. What monthly payment can you afford? That is the pivot that turns a simple transaction into a financial trap. Here is how it works. Suppose you walk in thinking about a $25,000 car. The salesperson does not talk about the total. Instead, they stretch the loan from 60 months to 72 months, maybe even 84 months. On paper, the payment looks smaller. You nod, relieved that it fits your budget. But you just signed up to pay thousands more in interest, with a loan that keeps you stuck far longer than you planned. The total cost balloons. But you never notice because you were distracted by the monthly figure. This trick is genius in its simplicity. People budget month by month, not decade by decade. Dealers know this, and they weaponize it. They know you will walk away feeling like you scored a win because the payment fits. They also know you will be paying for it years after the shine of the new car has faded. That anxiety in your gut when you look at the contract later, that is exactly what they count on. And if the payment game is not enough to tilt the deal in their favor, they have an even older trick waiting in their back pocket. If this is already opening your eyes, hit that like button so more people see it, and drop a comment below with the trick that shocked you most. Your story could be the one that helps another buyer escape. The bait and switch. It is the story every buyer has lived. You saw the perfect car online, the color was right, the mileage was low, and the price was just within reach. You walked into the dealership with that specific car in mind, only to hear the same tired line. "Oh, sorry, that one just sold this morning." But do not worry, they say, because they have a similar car right here on the lot. Of course, that similar car is always more expensive, or it comes with extras you did not want, or it is wrapped in a financing plan that tilts heavily in their favor. This is not bad luck. This is strategy. Dealers use bait and switch tactics because they know once you have invested your time, your emotions, and even the drive across town, you are less likely to walk away empty-handed. They dangle a unicorn, then swap in something else, counting on your frustration to push you toward compromise. You feel trapped, and that is when they press hardest. The anger in this moment is real because it is not just about money. It is about your time, your dignity, and your trust. You know deep down that the ad was designed to lure you in, not to sell you the car you saw. And when you are sitting there, feeling cornered, the dealership has already moved you into the next act of the performance. Because the last thing they want is for you to feel in control. And nothing proves that more than the oldest line in the playbook, the manager theater. We have all heard it. The salesperson leans back, sighs, and says, "Let me go talk to my manager." It sounds like they are fighting for you, taking your offer into the back room to plead your case. But the truth is uglier. That line is pure theater. It is designed to slow the deal down, shake your confidence, and make you feel dependent on someone you have never even met. Behind that door, the manager is not reviewing your offer with sympathy. He is scolding the salesperson for not getting enough money out of you. He is adjusting the numbers to squeeze out a little more profit. And when the salesperson comes back, it is not with good news. It is with a slightly different number, framed as a win for you, but in reality, a bigger win for them. This back and forth is exhausting by design. It wears you down until you accept whatever number appears on the paper, just to make the whole process stop. The outrage is justified because you were never negotiating with the person in front of you. You were negotiating with a shadow figure pulling strings from the office. The manager is the closer, the one trained to turn hesitation into signatures. By the time you realize the theater, the deal is already tilted against you, and this is only the setup. Once you have fallen for the opening act, the real money games are waiting on the other side of that desk. The trade-in trick? You drive onto the lot proud of the car you were trading in. Maybe you kept it clean, changed the oil, even fixed little things before bringing it in. You know it has value, and you expect that value to come off the price of your new car. But once you sit down, the mood changes. The salesperson circles your car like a vulture. They point out every tiny scratch, every dent, every spot on the upholstery. Suddenly, the car you thought was worth $10,000 is now worth $6,000, and just like that, thousands of dollars vanish in front of you. This is not an accident. Dealers intentionally exaggerate flaws and invent phantom repairs to devalue your trade-in. They might tell you the tires are bald when they are not, or that the brakes are failing when they are fine. Then they show you a sheet filled with numbers that seem official, but are designed to push your car's value down as far as possible. The goal is simple: buy your car cheap, then resell it for a profit you never see. It feels like betrayal because it is. You came in expecting a fair exchange, but instead, you are being played in a shell game. And the worst part? You do not find out until you are too far into the process to walk away. But even if you get through the trade-in trap, the next move is even more shocking because it happens after you think the deal is done. The yo-yo scam? Imagine driving home in your new car, proud of the deal you just signed. You tell your friends, you post a picture, and you finally breathe out. The battle is over, or so you think. Then the phone rings. It is the dealer saying there was a problem with your financing. Suddenly, the contract you signed is not valid. They tell you to bring the car back or agree to new terms that are always worse. This is the yo-yo scam, and it is one of the most shocking tricks in the business. Here is how it works. Dealers let you drive off before the financing is finalized. They make you believe the deal is done, but technically, it is not. Later, they claim the bank did not approve your loan or that the paperwork fell through. They pressure you to accept a higher interest rate, bigger down payment, or longer loan term. If you resist, they threaten repossession. You are left humiliated and powerless, forced to renegotiate a deal you thought was already sealed. The shock comes from realizing you never had control. That joy of driving off the lot turns into fear that the car will be taken back. Dealers love this tactic because once you have shown off the car and tasted ownership, you are less likely to give it up. And while that scheme leaves you rattled, what comes next will leave you furious because they will start charging you for things you never even asked for. The add-on overload. You sit across the desk, paperwork piled in front of you, and suddenly, you notice items you never discussed. An extended warranty, paint protection, fabric guard, wheel insurance, mysterious documentation fees that sound official but mean nothing. Each item adds a few $100s, sometimes a few thousand. By the time you notice, your total cost has ballooned. Dealers rely on this moment. They know buyers are tired and overwhelmed. They know you want to sign and be done, so they slip in add-ons you never requested, banking on the fact that you will not push back. These products often have massive markups. A warranty sold for $3,000 might have cost the dealer only a few hundred. A fabric treatment you did not want might be little more than a spray can from the hardware store. Yet the dealership packages it as a must-have protection for your investment. The outrage comes when you realize you were not even asked. They loaded the contract behind your back, turning your car into a shopping cart filled with junk. And worse, if you try to challenge it, they guilt you by saying it is required or company policy. But the add-ons are just the appetizer. The main course is still ahead, and it hides in the fine print of your financing, the rate markup. The dealership finance office is supposed to help you secure a loan. What they rarely tell you is that the rate you see might not be the rate you qualified for. Here is how the trick works. A bank might approve you for a loan at 4%. The dealer comes back and tells you the best they could find was 6%. You sign thinking that is the deal, but in reality, the dealer pockets the 2% difference as pure profit. Over the life of the loan, that tiny markup costs you thousands of dollars, all because you trusted them. This tactic is legal in many places, and it thrives because most buyers never shop their own financing. Dealers count on your relief when they say, "We got you approved. You think they did you a favor?" When in truth, they just sold you an overpriced loan. The anxiety comes later, when you realize your monthly payment is higher than it should be, and your total interest adds up to a staggering figure. This is the silent killer of car deals. Unlike add-ons you can see, or trade-in values you can argue about, interest markups are invisible unless you compare offers. Dealers know most buyers will never do that, and so, your trust turns into their bonus. And if you think that is where the manipulation ends, wait until you see how they twist your emotions in the final stretch. The fake deadline? You sit in the showroom and suddenly, the clock becomes your enemy. The salesperson leans in and says the deal is only good for today. They warn you that the factory rebate ends at midnight, or that the manager will not approve this price after the weekend. They create a fake countdown, a sense that if you do not act right now, you will lose everything. The stress builds, and you feel trapped. This trick is as old as sales itself. Urgency breaks down rational thought. When you believe the window is closing, you stop asking questions and start reacting. Dealers know that if they can make you feel time pressure, you will rush into signing a deal without noticing the traps hidden in the paperwork. The truth is, most of these deadlines are completely fabricated. Rebates get extended, managers make exceptions, and deals can be replicated later. But in that moment, under fluorescent lights and fake smiles, the pressure feels real. The stress is intentional. It is not just about selling the car today. It is about stopping you from leaving, thinking, and shopping around. And when you are too rushed to see clearly, you are easy to manipulate. But pressure is only the first step. Once you are softened by urgency, they flip the switch and act like your best friend. The friendly manipulator. The next tactic is charm. The salesperson laughs at your jokes, asks about your kids, and calls you by your first name as if you have known each other for years. They nod sympathetically when you talk about tight budgets, and they say they will do everything they can to help you out. It feels good to be listened to, but what you may not realize is that every word you say becomes ammunition in their pitch. Salespeople are trained in mirroring, the art of repeating your language and your emotions back to you. If you say you are worried about reliability, they emphasize extended warranties. If you admit you are anxious about monthly costs, they focus on stretching loans. By acting like a friend, they collect the data they need to build the perfect trap tailored just for you. Their kindness is a mask for precision manipulation. The betrayal cuts deep because you let your guard down. You think you are talking to a human being who understands your struggles, but you are really talking to a professional who sees every concern as an opportunity. They do not just hear your story, they weaponize it against you. And once they have your trust, they move to the next act, the one that makes you believe you won a victory when you actually lost. The phantom discount? Nothing feels better than haggling a dealer down and walking out with a discount. You tell yourself you fought hard and saved thousands. But here is the ugly truth. That discount was built into the price from the beginning. Dealers set the sticker high, then slash it to make you feel like you won. It is anchoring, a psychological trick that frames the final number as a bargain, even though it was inflated all along. Suppose a car is really worth $28,000. The dealer lists it at $33,000. After some back and forth, they cut it down to $30,000, making you feel like you saved $3,000. In reality, you overpaid by $2,000 compared to the fair market value. The shock comes when you realize the entire negotiation was staged. You never controlled the process. You just danced to the music they were playing. That pride you felt driving home, it was engineered. The dealer wanted you to walk away believing you were a winner because a happy buyer is less likely to complain later. That false sense of victory is part of the scam. But even if you see through the fake discount, the final blow still comes at the very end, buried in the paperwork. You have seen how deep these scams run, but the story is still unfolding. Subscribe right now because the next video will reveal even darker tactics and you will not want to be the last to know. The signature scam. By the time you reach the final signing, you are exhausted. Hours have passed, your patience is gone, and you just want to drive away. Dealers know this. and they save their boldest moves for this moment. As you flip through the stack of forms, you see extra fees you never discussed. Dealer preparation, title service, credit insurance. Some contracts even swap interest rates or stretch the loan term compared to what you agreed on earlier. These last-minute changes are slipped in because they know you will not catch them. The outrage comes later, when you realize the contract you signed is not the deal you thought you had. That surprise insurance might add $20 a month. The hidden fee might add $500 to the total. Over the life of the loan, these small numbers snowball into thousands, and by the time you notice, it is too late. The signatures are already dry. This is not sloppiness, it is strategy. Dealers design the process to exhaust you so they can strike hardest at the end. The final scam is not about convincing you. It is about wearing you down until you are too tired to resist. And once they have squeezed every dollar from your wallet, the story zooms out because the tricks that broke you down are part of a much larger system shaping the entire industry. The regulatory fight. For decades, car dealers have played their games with almost no oversight, but in recent years, regulators have begun to stir. The Federal Trade Commission has proposed new rules requiring dealers to show the real price up front, banning deceptive junk fees and making contracts clearer. Lawsuits have cropped up across the country accusing dealerships of unfair practices. At first glance, it looks like the cavalry is finally arriving to level the playing field. Yet progress is slow because the industry fights back hard. Dealer associations spend millions lobbying lawmakers to weaken new rules. They argue that regulations will hurt small businesses, even though many of these stores pull in millions each year. Every time a new consumer protection proposal comes up, dealers flood state capitals with lawyers and lobbyists. They want to keep the system confusing because confusion is profitable. For buyers, the empowerment lies in knowing this fight is happening. Change is coming, even if it crawls forward. And every complaint, every viral story, and every signature on a petition makes it harder for the industry to hide. But while regulators move at a snail's pace, some of the biggest threats to dealers are not lawmakers at all. They are the automakers and startups looking to cut them out of the picture entirely. The end of dealers? When you look at the car market, one fact jumps out. The middleman is under attack. Companies like Tesla and Rivian already sell directly to customers without traditional dealerships. They set a price online, let you order from your phone, and deliver without the endless back and forth. Fintech startups are stepping in with transparent financing apps that let you compare real loan rates instantly. These new models cut away the tricks by cutting away the dealer. For automakers, the incentive is obvious. Why share profit with a middleman when you can control the entire process yourself? Why let dealerships undermine your brand with shady sales tactics when you can present a polished, direct experience? The shock for dealers is that the ground beneath them is shifting. What used to feel permanent now looks fragile. Still, dealers do not plan to vanish quietly. They use state franchise laws to block direct sales in many areas, forcing companies to go through them. They warn of job losses and local economic harm, but the truth is simpler. They are protecting their turf. And while automakers and startups fight to change the system from the top down, buyers are beginning to push back from the bottom up. The buyer revolt. The biggest change in recent years is not in boardrooms or courtrooms. It is in the hands of ordinary buyers who are fed up with the games. Consumer watchdog groups are exposing tricks with viral videos and cheat sheets. Online forums are filled with stories of scams, giving new buyers a roadmap of what to watch out for. Some unions and worker groups are even pushing back against abusive dealership practices from the inside. Social media has become a weapon. A single video of a shady dealer trying to sneak in a bogus fee can rack up millions of views. Suddenly, a local dealership's reputation is in ruins. This kind of exposure terrifies dealers because it takes away the one thing they rely on: silence. When people know the tricks in advance, the tricks stop working. This moment is empowering because it proves that knowledge is power. When buyers share their stories, others avoid the same traps. When consumers unite, dealerships lose leverage. But this fight is not just about shaming the bad actors of today. It is about reshaping what car buying will look like tomorrow. And that future may look completely different from the nightmare most buyers know now. The future of buying. Imagine walking into a dealership-free world. You open an app, see the price of a car with no hidden fees, choose financing at the lowest rate available, and schedule delivery to your driveway. No fake deadlines, no yo-yo financing, no fabricated add-ons. That is not science fiction. It is already happening with some electric vehicle companies and subscription models. The shift to electric cars, digital platforms, and direct sales gives buyers more leverage than ever before. Transparency is no longer a dream. It is becoming an expectation. But here is the catch. This future only arrives if consumers demand it. Dealers will not give up their tricks voluntarily. They will cling to them until the last possible moment. The only way change takes hold is if buyers refuse to play the old game. This is empowerment in its rawest form. You do not have to be a victim. You can walk away, call out scams, and reward companies that treat you with respect. The more buyers who demand honesty, the faster the industry shifts. Because the truth is simple, the future of car buying is not just about cars. It is about control. And for the first time in decades, that control is starting to slip out of the dealer's hands and into yours. You have seen the games, the scams, and the system designed to drain your wallet. But knowledge is power, and now you hold it. Do not just walk away smarter. Walk away stronger. Subscribe and stay with us, because the next video could be the difference between losing money and finally beating their game.